Welcome back, everybody. This is Night Flight, and today we are going to talk to Masaki Miyagawa again. His website is akaida.com. He has been a guest many times here, and I know many of you love to listen to him. So, Masaki, welcome back.
Hi, Judith. We're in 2022. We're rocking the double green screen, and we're in it now. So good to see you.
Yeah, you too. So, savior complex, that is our subject today. Are you okay with that we start on the personal level before we
Oh,
take a
sure,
look at the collective and maybe
sure.
worldwide level? Because there we have a lot of stuff also going on.
Yeah. So these are just my thoughts. I'm no expert, but um, the whole savior program, savior complex, and the victimology, the victim mentality. That's a big one. So that this if you really dive deep into it, it's probably along the lines of what is the meaning of life. So I'm just gonna give my thoughts on it, but it plays a large part in what's going on. um I think that obviously a lot of people are in a victim mentality, and it's being promoted, right? So the whole social justice warrior ideology is based around a hierarchy of victimology, right? Like you get a you get a prize, and at the top of the pyramid, there's a certain group that they have ultimate victimology, right? So, but I think that it's a lot easier to play the victim because then you don't have responsibility, right?
Mm.
I don't have any power. It's somebody else's responsibility, or I don't have any power, so I don't have to stand up and face my own issues. So number one, it's an easy out. um and I think you could apply a lot of things from the typical self-help, or if people know life coaching, those kind of things, apply that on a small scale to maybe some of the larger issues, or maybe people typically look at that as like interpersonal, or I'm codependent, or husband was beating on me. But nowadays, Judith, there's a lot of women beating on men. So maybe you're a cuck and you've been beat down. But anyway, usually there's power issues around that, right? But also, you could apply that to maybe the larger sphere of the political and how people act in that way. But across the board, the people are traumatized. So um I think that you shouldn't also completely dismiss people's pains and the traumas they've been through. Like, the you have to you have to tell your story. Number one, you have to admit it to yourself,
Mm.
but then you have to basically work through it. But we live in a society now where people are on their deathbed, they're like 90 years old and like, I'm a victim. It's like, when you become an adult, I think it's time to start working towards reaching some kind of equilibrium, a balance, because basically all these traumas and um difficult things we've been through, it puts people off balance, right? So
Mm.
nature always seeks a balance. You go to the median, right? You like the middle. So um typically, I think when people start hitting their Saturn return, so like around 30, that's when people start to have nervous breakdowns. Major things start coming out. Why? It's because any kind of imbalances, they they need to be worked out. But when these traumas or negative emotions are released, it's like a purge or a cleanse. So you're gonna feel like crap. And a lot of people, it's so intense because there might be like multiple layers of things. It becomes unbearable, right? So that's why you have like the 20. Do you remember the 27 Club, like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, Kurt Cobain? Well, a lot of them are MK Ultras, so they're dealing with probably, although the Cobain thing was a murder assassination, but a lot of times, naturally people want to seek a balance. So, but it's a lot easier to just, instead of being progressive, be regressive and just always look back to the past and not try to progress and work through that. So, I guess a simple answer would be that it's just a lot easier to stay as a victim, you know. Um and we are coming out of the age of Pisces, right? So in the astrological signs and symbols, we are in 2000 plus years of the age of the victim. So nothing's good or bad, but everything has a higher and lower aspect. So Pisces considered one of the most spiritual signs. Sagittarius would be the other one, above board, because Sagittarius is like the church, the preacher, rules religions. Pisces is the other one, and it's like, oh, the 12th house. This is the old soul 12th house, right? It's that water image of the membrane between the dimensions, between this world and those other worlds. Pisces, the sign of the natural born artist, but it's also Jesus on the cross. Right? What they do in the story of Jesus, they literally sacrificed him, right? That's human sacrifice. That's
Yeah, it's a blood
victimology.
sacrifice. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, um, there's a lot of people today that are still in that kind of, it's like it's a cult of victimology, actually. But we already played that game, quote unquote. So if you're doing that, and again, there's a time for that, right? You got to work through it. But in general, as far as the esoteric thinking goes, that's a losing game, because now we're in the age of Lucifer, Judith, right? The one where you're the rebellious teenager, like, I'm smart enough, maybe too smart. You don't tell me what to do. And it's basically self-starter. Like, I will make my own kingdom on Earth, something like that, And that's just in the signs and symbols. So, there's there's definitely a downside to the age of Aquarius, but there's two aspects. But the whole Piscean game is played out, but there's still a lot of people in that. And sometimes it's just born in people too, because let's say you were born, well, before we started recording, we were talking about the 7 numbers and Justin Trudeau. He looks like a sacrifice to me. He has a 7 combination birthday, which is considered Neptune Pisces energy, but there's an exception. The 12 number, which you would think that's 3, right? 1 and 2 is 3. Most 3 combinations. Now I deal with the numerology, right? Done a lot of numerology readings. Most 3 combinations are Jupiter Sagittarius. So like if it's the 3rd of the month or 30th, right? But 12 is considered Neptune Pisces. It always puzzled me why, but the 12th card in the tarot deck is the Hangman, right? So if you yourself, or other people that are born on the 12th of the month, they're typically like the black sheep, the one that's rejected. And this is coming to mind because I was just talking about this yesterday. Jesus is the chief cornerstone that the builders rejected. I don't know if you heard that one, right? Jordan Maxwell
Yeah,
talked about it.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
basically the chief cornerstone is the capstone of a pyramid.
yeah.
So, Bible believing Christians, y'all better think about that one. Why are they talking about like the capstone of a pyramid in the Bible? But or why is Jesus the capstone of a pyramid, the
Hmm.
chief cornerstone? But often people born on the 12th, they'll be a black sheep, they'll be rejected, and they're victimized a lot. They're the ones that take the blame, and this is just like a magnetism. It's just like you have a certain energy in you. But there's a difference between living that life unconsciously and knowing, okay, this is what I'm dealing with, so I have to know that things are gonna tend to play out a certain way, but you don't have to play into it.
Yeah.
This may make you laugh, Judith, but I've even seen men born on the 12th that I don't know if this is conscious or unconscious, but they will wear stuff that's basically drag kind of stuff,
Hmm.
or because Pisces has to do with costume, ballroom, fantasy. Justin Trudeau, although he's born on the 25th, which is a 7 combination, but any kind of Pisces energy, Justin Trudeau, he loves that blackface. It's ridiculous, over the top, racist, but I think he really loves it because it's a total costume, right? It's
Mm.
fantasy. So I've noticed that, and we may think we have total control over things, or most people assume I'm just me, I could decide what I want to do. But the more you start looking through this reality, especially through esoteric reading systems, this really is hell, because it seems like we have way less control than we think. I think we have, the average person, you have more power than you know, but you have less control than you think, because so
Yeah.
much it seems to be programmed.
Mm.
So in that way, how much free will do we really have?
Mm. But on the other hand,
Uh-huh.
we also have this phenomena of the savior. Let's say, yeah, usually it's more pronounced among women. I'm not
Hmm.
saying there aren't any men that are suffering
Uh-huh.
from it. Um, those types that always end up with an alcoholic. Those
Oh,
people that always
I
have
got
this
some of that in me.
drive. I have to save this person. And what usually goes along with it
Hmm.
is a feeling of omnipotence. And most people are not
Yeah.
even aware of it, because actually they think they are the only ones that can save that person if he or she is just willing to look at it correctly. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, that's for your own ego, right?
Mm,
You're acting like you're the savior helper, but that's your own ego,
mm,
right? So, that's one of the lessons of the healer or the counselor, which that's my prominent. It's one of my It's my prominent number, the number 6. This like healer, teacher, counselor in the numbers. So one of the major lessons of the savior, if you do any kind of healing or counseling work, is the boundaries. So there's a time to step in, and there's a time to hold back. If
exactly.
people ask for the help, then that's one thing. If they come to you, they're paying for a consultation, that's something. But I mean, I guess you could connect this to like Virgo energy, right? And then Jesus, in the occultists, they believe Jesus was a Virgo, born on 9/11, right? He wasn't born on December 25th. And Virgo is the sign that I jokingly say, Judith, is Captain Save-A-Ho.
Yeah.
Always going out of their way with also the advice that's not asked for. The also the fact checker, like, actually, actually. But yeah, the ultimate goal is the the person in need or the client, they learn for themselves, right? So there's that saying, you teach a man to fish, right?
Mhm.
So if say I do a numerology reading, which are basically closed now, I close this out. Um, if I show somebody their chart and I explain to them, see this, these points here, this is what we're dealing with. Okay, you go on your way. They cannot come back with the same story because, like, we already talked about this, right?
Mhm.
But if you're at an unconscious level of, like, I'm the savior, they probably don't really want to give these people real solutions because then they always keep coming back. Oh, yes. Well, let me give you more advice, right?
Mm.
So, the ultimate goal is the people, they don't need your advice anymore, right?
Exactly. Mm.
So sometimes you got to let people, quote unquote, fall on their ass or
Mhm.
have the difficult experience, because guess what? They're going to learn a lot quicker that way than whatever you told them, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the lessons of somebody that does consultation advice or is playing that role of, we don't want to play the role of the savior, but somebody that's, helping people, right? There's boundaries, you know? So you really want to, the ultimate goal is so the person that needs advice or help, they don't need your advice at some point in the future. So that was one thing I had to learn.
Mm.
In fact, you could damage people or hinder their progress if you give them unneeded advice or help. Especially, I haven't done it in years for other people, but like hands-on healing, energetic healing. Uh, if you do any kind of quote unquote healing work, you should always ask before you do it. Ask in yourself, in your mind's eye, or to yourself, like, is it proper at this time to do the healing? And if you get a yes or no answer, then it's okay. But if you get a no, you better not do any kind of
Mm.
energy work, because if you push people when they're not ready, you could seriously, you know,
Damage them.
cause
Yeah.
cause some problems,
Mm.
because they may freak out. They're not ready to shift, especially, there's a lot of people that are very blocked up, you know,
Mm.
that they may, that, I guess we could boil this down to God made them too. So you think that these people, they're not smart enough to figure out what you figured out? Everybody has their own path and timeline. It's
Mm.
just that some people in their mind, like you said, like, oh, I'm the savior, I'm helping people, but it's kind of like a underhanded way to pump up your own ego.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can bring yourself into trouble with that,
Mhm.
because some savior types, they go out of their way, even if they do not have the
Mhm.
resources. They will find a way to help financially and do this and do that
Mhm.
until they run into a burnout.
I think that the victims, you could call it the victim savior complex, because I think the
Mm.
two are interlinked, and you see this directly in the artificial, propped up, extreme so-called left social justice warrior, because they play the savior and the victim at the same time,
Yeah.
right? I'm
Mm.
oppressed, but then they always want to interfere with people's business. Like, just leave me alone. There's too many damn rules already. Right? Yeah.
Mm.
You know
Yeah,
what? The more that I think about it, I think you really can connect it to. There's a lot of Virgo energy in that.
Mm.
It's all about there's this right way and there's a wrong way, and then there are these there's all these rules and um, but I'm a victim. I'm helping you. Don't you understand? And all that. And Virgo is also the sign of overwork, of workaholic, and maybe overthinking. You could see that. Oh, and a lot of hey, you do what you want to do, but a lot of these extreme leftists are like vegans and all that. That's very Virgo. So, you know.
So Virgo has
So,
a tendency for extremes.
yeah. Also, a lot of gut problems. They're so damn nervous about worrying about things, and they got like
Mm.
crappy guts. So, yeah. But that's the way. You know what, Judith? If you really don't understand what food is, and you start eating this so-called plant-based meat, see what happens to you in a couple of years.
Yeah.
Right? So,
Mm.
but that's the thing is, there are some people that they think that they have the only answer. They're the only one that can save people. This is very dangerous thinking, right? I need to save people. Uh, my experience is, yeah, if people ask for advice or help, that's one thing, but often it's just personal experience. And if you don't let people have those negative experiences, you have you're delaying their progress. I think you can see this a lot in the millennials. Is that I don't know how it's probably the same in Europe. A lot of the parents were maybe overprotective and they didn't let the children have their own experiences. And then they think they're living in a very kind of manicured, artificial, you know, environment. And then when they go to the real world, they can't handle it because they were never allowed to fail, right?
Mm.
So, um, yeah, and in that way too, if things are always set up for you not to fail, and you're afraid of like reality's too real, we're at the point now where there's a fair number of people that they get very uneasy about anything that gets into real talk, right? That makes them very nervous. If you can't even talk about things honestly or hear differing opinions, which may be
Mhm.
totally like ridiculous, but if you're not even adult
Yeah,
enough
but
to,
I can decide that for myself. I'm grown up. I don't need a nanny to tell me what I can listen to and what not.
well, it's funny, right? A lot of these savior complex people, they're complete statists also. Right? It's it's like having your own thoughts, little scary. Good thing we have the corporate state to keep things
Mhm.
stable in their mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I think, yeah, a lot of people really have good intentions. I'm not questioning that, but the
Oh,
execution is lousy most of the
well,
time. And
you got to.
especially when, and when you talk to alcoholics that overcame their addiction or people that overcame drug addiction, they will always tell you that, you know what, actually, those people who were helping me a
This
lot,
enablers.
yeah, they no, they didn't help at all because they prolonged the suffering.
Mm-hmm.
That is what you said, let them fall.
Yeah.
And somebody that is honestly, first of all, if they are in denial that they have an addiction problem, there is no sense. Yeah, it will not work
Yep.
anyhow. So, and if you prop up that person with emotional support, financial support in that, in that situation. Yeah, then of course you are prolonging it.
Well, especially like if you're on that Gemini Sagittarius axis. Yeah, I can only imagine a young Judith Koba being told like, "Don't go out of the country. You don't want to travel." Hey, guess what? There's certain people, they only learn through experience, right? That's that Sagittarius Gemini axis. That's all learning by doing things or experiences or traveling, right? So yeah, again, the it's you know what though, the society is so imbalanced today. Good is this imbalance. You're gonna see, and we're gonna have some shocking things happen to let you realize what's the problem with this savior victim complex. But you gotta know, Judith, that some of the worst crimes of against humanity have come from people with a savior complex.
Oh,
But
exactly.
being the savior of humanity as a idea is different than saving people, because that's what all these technocrat AI crazy people believe. Well, we're the good people because we're saving humanity. But to save humanity, we got to kill 90% of you off, right? It all sounds great until you really look into what the numbers, right? And aside from the efficacy of the juice and the different juices we've had over time, go back to Jonas Salk. Like he wrote that book Survival of the Wisest. And that's a little concerning. That's like, early immunology vaccinations. Survival of the wisest, like that should raise some eyebrows right there. He's saying that the smart people, those it's that Platonic thinking, these Neoplatonist overlords, that only the technocrats are smart enough or worthy enough to be kept around. Well, that means 90% of you cattle people, you're well, they're going off the cliff anyway. But we were setting it up as just administrators of this earth. That, well, it's a tough job, Judith, but we are the saviors. So these people are sick, But that's the thing. If you get into, although some people may just do this out of a gut level, like to pump up their own ego as a savior, there are groups and individuals that it's coming from an ideological basis. And when you get into like abstract concepts and thinking like that, like in the signs and symbols, this pure air sign, it's all mental. The most crazy psychopaths, in their mind, it made total sense, right? It's like, no, you don't understand. See, what we were doing is, this is leading to the unending revolution. And the last step is transforming the human being itself, which is actually happening right now. It's a little bit concerning, the genetic manipulation. But in their mind, it made total sense. It's like, yeah, we had to kill like a couple billion people, but Age of Aquarius, got to crack some eggs, Judith. Got to crack some eggs to make that utopian omelet. So it's like, what's the problem? But that kind of the pure unaspected air sign is the biggest psycho. No offense to air sign people, because most people, they don't have unaspected like pure mental. It's balanced off by something else. But if you're talking about, well, especially the time we're in, which is, they say we've just tipped into the age of Aquarius. Well, Aquarius is very compatible with the so-called socialist communist revolutionary thinking. So it all sounds good on the surface to the average person, but if we gotta kill like quarter, half the population to get that utopia, so be it. You know, this is a little concerning. And guess what, Judith? Like we were talking about before, a lot of this is it's like a subconscious wave that can come over the planet. So if you're not aware of what's going on, I mean, people will just be swept up into a fervor, you know, and every age has its flavor. It's like a directional flow, and Age of Aquarius is very compatible with like a technocracy, kind of UBI, universal basic income, these kind of things. I don't think it'll be all that way, because guess what? Somebody programs the AI and somebody's running the ship. It's just in the front end. It looks like it's all egalitarian, but there will still be a class system. It was that way in the Soviet bloc, right? If you're a high party member, that means you're rich, basically. You know.
Yeah.
So
you know, when they make videos like 2030, you own nothing and you will be happy. Yeah, well, you know, I usually go that one step further, and I think about, yeah, maybe you switch that off, that feeling, you know, that you can suffer, that maybe you do just a stupid work, you're stocking the shelves all day long, and you are happy like a button, because you are no longer capable of really, yeah, reflecting on your situation. And yeah, perfect.
well, I think it's born in people. So what's coming out now is it was always in people, but now it's just coming to the surface and it's very obvious, right? So yeah, it's a little disappointing to me. So many people are just pure sheeple followers that is going off the cliff, but that was born in them, right? Yeah. See, the question isn't you know, do you know the facts? The question is, do you want to be free or not? And you know what, Judith? Most people do not want to be free. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's correct.
Right? Because, and you know, I think a lot of us knew this about the mentality of people, but I was never 100%.
That bad? Yeah.
I was never 100% clear on where people are, but then the last couple of years is pretty obvious. It doesn't matter what amount of information you put in front of people. You got to go to the root and say, do you want to know? Do you want to be free? And they say, we don't want to know. We don't want to be free. So it's like, oh, okay. Now I get it, you know? So yeah, I mean, if some of these people survive, I actually think, you know, there will be a die-off, but there will be a fair number of people that took all the smart dust and the genetic manipulation, mRNA and all that. They'll still be around, but you can tell from this point, they're just going to go pure jacked into the matrix with that port on the back of their neck, you know. Why not? Because that's really what they want, you know. And
yeah, but they are so eager, forcing it on others as well.
Yeah, but you know what? Aquarius likes a good game, so I do believe that it's not going to be all one way. It's a little boring. But I just look back at some of my interactions with people, and I consider myself the dum-dum, because like I'm trying to, maybe not like savior complex, but I was expecting more from people, Judith. I didn't have low expectations, but I'm trying to force people to be something they're not. And even today, I had these thoughts about talking to this person or that person, because now the mainstream, that kind of top of the pyramid corporate level, for whatever reason, they are letting the facts out. I mean, they've been around, but
Yeah,
above
yeah.
board. It's starting to roll out. They're going to let the public know that they got effed over, right? So in my mind, I was like, it's like, I should talk to this guy, see what he thinks. It's like, so what do you think about, XYZ, huh? But then it goes back to what we've been talking about. That's only for my own ego. Am I changing anything? The guy is where he is. That's who he is. Why am I trying to change him to be something he's not? Or make him try to grab his head and make him look at things. That's only for my own ego.
Yeah.
But
And you know
I still
what?
think about it, Judith.
Yeah. And uh, I think situations like that, they also are a reminder that yes, all illusions have to fall. All illusions. I had a good laugh when Neil Young, Jody Mitchell, they all came out and wanted to have their music deleted at Spotify
Oh yeah.
because they are hosting Joe Rogan and so on
Well,
and so forth.
that's a whole shadow play too, because
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
yeah, yeah. But I thought, and we have similar things going on here with certain artists in Germany. But honestly, that has to happen. That even the last illusion has to fall. And if you don't get it, that all your movie stars, rock stars, the ones that are really making a big career, I'm not talking about the not so popular. Yeah. Um, if you really make a big career, you have been handpicked. You are
oh
not there
yeah,
accidentally or just because of your talent. That is not the case.
yeah. I mean, you may have some exceptions, but you have to do certain things to get to a certain level.
Yeah.
Especially, although like Hollywood's dying off, but if you're in that top 1% of income earners, the bookable names among the Hollywood elite, I've heard some things about, like, they all have agents, right?
Mhm.
Why? I don't know, but smart people put themselves as middlemen to get that percentage. Okay, you cannot. It's like you have to be in the SAG, the Actors Union, and you have to
Mhm.
have an agent. And certain agents, they only handle certain tiers of
Mhm.
talent.
Mhm.
Judith, I heard man or woman, if you're in that top percent, you got to grab your ankles literally. And it sounds ridiculous, but I've heard that's a case that, so later down the line, this is animal psychology. It's like, hey, you know, uh, I want this amount, whatever. I want this percentage. And your agent's going to tell you, yeah, but I effed you in the ass. So at that point, what are you going to do? It's like, yeah, you right. You right. You
Mhm.
right. So
Mhm.
it's,
Circling back to Trudeau,
mhm.
because we already mentioned him, and so you had a look at his numbers. I have to say, he certain. I'm not quite sure. Is he just bored off, or is he enjoying? Um, yeah, the
Oh,
suffering of certain people, or
uh-huh.
does he really think he's doing the right thing?
He, Trudeau. So I did a quick celebrity breakdown numerology reading of Justin Trudeau.
Mhm.
And very interesting, I might even have the slide here. Let me see if
Oh
I can
yeah,
pull it up.
please share it.
Uh, crap. I think I deleted it, but I could tell. I remember. So Justin Trudeau, he's born December 25th. I can't remember the year. He's 50 years old. So he's a Capricorn. Off the bat, the first thing I notice is he's a J name. So first letter of the first name in numerology, they call the cornerstone. A lot of Masonic terminology, probably because Freemasons are very interested in numerology and gematria, right? So J names, if it's like James Bartley, if it's like
Judith Koba,
Judith, Justin Trudeau. So he has his idea of justice, because J's for justice, right? So typically it's like about fairness, not liking bullies. But obviously, from everything we know about Justin Trudeau, he's in that globalist World Economic Forum idea of justice, right? And that's, again, savior complex, but it ain't nothing good for the rest of humanity. It's only for that tight inner circle, right? But him being a Capricorn sun sign, that's Capricorn of Saturn energy. Well, that's the planet of sacrifice already, right? So, interesting. And then his birthday is the 25th, Christmas, but 2 + 5 = 7, which is Neptune Pisces energy. So I would say, and people with heavy Neptune Pisces energy, they're typically, because it's about deep thought, they're typically more intelligent than average. But I would say, based on his habits and what we know about Justin Trudeau, the guy's delusional, because Neptune Pisces energy can be delusional, basically, right? Too fantastical, into fantasy. Los Angeles is a very Neptunian or Piscean place, and Neptune Pisces rules the film industry, right? Because it's all about telling stories and fantasy. So what do we know about Justin Trudeau? He has a habit. It's not a one-off. He has a habit of dressing in blackface, right? Like literally, in Judith, he has like a kit. This is like a favorite go-to every couple of years. He's like, time to break out the shoe polish. but although it is quote unquote racist, I really don't think he looks at it like that. He's just so excited, like, oh god, this is my act. This is like costume. This is fantasy. I'm playing somebody else, right? So that is definitely pointing to, well, he has a Neptunian birthday. But like we were saying, Pisces energy is Jesus on the cross. It rules the victim. So I think it could be possible that he was born as for quite some time. I would say at least 10 years. He might have been marked to be a sacrifice.
Yeah.
He's going to take the fall. Yeah.
And let's not forget his mother is a Sinclair.
Oh, she's a total MK Ultra.
Yeah, sure. And so that is why I put this in. There is also a chance that Justin has been MK Ultra.
Well, that's what his brother said. His half brother said he's under some form of hypnotism. Now, I can't remember all the aspects, but well, he was a life path 1, which is what? All his issues are around being number 1 or the leader. So what's he probably been doing, though? He hasn't been standing up as a leader. He's basically totally followed and listened to what other people said, right? He's not standing up for what his beliefs. He probably doesn't even know what his beliefs are. Everything's been fed to him.
Yeah, he was in that Young Global Leader program.
Yeah. The other number,
and I think he fits well there.
Yeah, well, you know who else is in there? Tulsi Gabbard. They're building her up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
she's going to be the anti-war one
Mm-hmm.
when the time comes. But he had inner motivation or heart's desire number 4. That was that's Aquarius energy. So that would tell me that he really believes in this World Economic Forum, you know, young pioneers, young leaders, basically because Aquarius energy rules revolutionaries, right? Or the revolution is, and especially it's very connected to kind of socialist communist ideology. So deep in himself, I think that really what really drives him. The only thing is he didn't understand that, yeah, you're going to be the sacrifice for the revolution. This kind
Mm-hmm.
of like 2030 AI utopia, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And also, Judith, remember that Aquarius rules LGBT. So
Oh yeah.
so I wouldn't, and that's like deep in himself, right?
Mm.
I wouldn't be surprised if Justin Trudeau has played in drag or something like that too.
Oh
Or
yeah.
if he's just like, although he is married with kids, but you know that doesn't mean anything, especially
No,
coming from
that
LA. I can
doesn't
tell you
mean
that doesn't mean
anything.
anything, right? So you put all that together, you know,
Mm.
um, it's a little sad because you look at Justin Trudeau, although he's a FOOL fool. The guy really bought into everything, and he's probably, like you said, he's probably a multiple personality trauma-based mind control victim. But he really, honestly believed in all this globalist BS, and I'm sure he's crapping his pants. I mean, the guy's in hiding supposedly, right?
Mm.
He may realize now, like, uh-oh. Yeah.
Do you think they are willing to throw him under the bus under this at this point?
Oh,
Because
sure. Sure.
I'm not saying the people do not have any power. That's not what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
But usually there's also a little fraction, to tip the scales if, yeah, the string pullers are willing to sacrifice him.
Is the Trudeau brand even recoverable? I kind of doubt it. Unless he was to come out and really apologize sincerely. You know,
Mhm.
anything could happen, but
Mm.
unlikely. And,
So
you
he
know,
will be thrown under the bus.
oh, Judith, I think a lot of these
Mm.
politicians and
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah, it's just a
it's
middleman anyhow. They do not
well,
do any decisions.
well, you
So
know, ju-
which monkey is playing the role? It doesn't matter.
well, just like the French Revolution to World War I, the whole purpose was to cull or clear out a lot of the European nobility, which, you know, a lot of them were corrupt, but what were they replaced with? They were replaced with like the bankers and the corporations, basically, right? And now I think you're seeing a similar process of the national governments. These people are all expendable. Do they really even make any decisions anyway? So they will be. There was actually an article recently within the last week that said the confidence in the national governments is collapsing.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
you know what those dark lords in the background say? Good. Because that's what was the plan. That was what was intended, right? Um so I wouldn't doubt if maybe 10 years down the line we have governance by algorithm. And it's
Hmm.
funny, I was thinking about this. You know, algorithm, it has Algol, the demon star in it, Algol rhythm, right? Uh, because Judith, you know, the police, they're just so racist. So once we have RoboCop and the robot dogs with a gun mounted on it or some shock device,
Who
it,
just
it,
shoot
it
anybody?
it's completely impartial, right? Even though somebody programs the damn,
Hmm. Hmm.
you know, AI, but the dum dums on the street, they don't even think about that. So why wouldn't we have rule by AI? Because you know these politicians are so corrupt. I mean, that was shown through the whole COVID experience. So why don't we just do that? And you know, I'm seeing this also in the crypto space with they call DAO, DAO. It's a decentralized authority. It's basically like the group votes on which way a crypto goes, right?
Mm-hmm.
It has upsides, but it's a little concerning because it's pure democracy, which is mob rule, right? So, like, as far as the United States of America was supposed to be, it was not set up to be a democracy. It was set up to
No.
be a democratic republic, right? Where,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we have voting, but there's certain inalienable rights of the individual, so the mob cannot oppress the individual or the minority, right? That there's not
So we thought.
there's no inalienable rights in these DAO organizations, which I could see. I mean, this will become normalized.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not that many people in crypto right now, but the fact of the matter is, it's becoming very popular in crypto, and once crypto grows, this idea of the decentralized. So you know, it's funny. Is it really decentralized? I don't know. It sounds good on the surface, but then once this kind of blockchain voting gets normalized, why wouldn't it be applied to a larger scale, right? I'm not saying it's all bad, but it's something to think about because ultimately somebody's behind it. These algorithms don't write themselves. Not yet. Not yet. But somebody's always like there's always a class system. There's always somebody controlling things from the back. What's presented to you in public is different, but there's always been a class system, you know. So I don't care how good it sounds. I mean, it's just a little eyebrow raising, don't you think, Judith? Because you know, that's the thing too. You know, I'm involved in cryptocurrency, but a lot of it, I'll buy a token or I'll stake some coins just to see the process of how it works. And that's when I started to see the DAO governance. Actually, they call that governance. There's even governance tokens. You know, to vote, you have to hold certain token. And I'm thinking,
Yeah.
this could
You
be
don't
how
have the token, you have no voice.
That's true too. Well, yeah, in like a token ecosystem, they may have a couple different tokens, but one of them's a governance token, which is specifically used in the voting, right? So, but I was thinking, 10 years out, like, why wouldn't this expand to a larger scale? So, you know.
Yeah. So, do you think maybe it's possible that further down the road, if we if the scumbags of the earth get it their way, we will be assigned to certain corporations, and the corporations will rule directly, get rid of the governments because they are in the way anyhow, and some of them still think they have something to say and to decide, which is really annoying to the corporation.
We're halfway there. We're halfway there. Anyway,
Yeah.
because people worship the corporations. That is their religion. You know, like Colin Kaepernick. Like, you gotta be effing kidding me. But people really believe this crap, you know? Like, they don't go to church, but they buy Ben and Jerry's Kaepernick vegan ice cream. Because it's like, yeah, most of them are probably white. Like, I don't have a black fist, but I have this like Ben and Jerry's ice cream. It's like, it goes back to, we did that talk on the Black Lives Matter Saturn cube, and it's a joke, but it's not a joke. The Starbucks made a shirt. They made 250,000 Black Lives Matter shirt that said whatever it was, Black
The
Power.
communist
But the thing is, it's not about Black people. It's about the Black cube. That's what it's about, and people worship the Black cube. And very interesting, Judith. I know some folks that they're good people, but again, we're obviously not on all the same page. They're hardworking, working class people, but they're very much in the us versus them, left right paradigm. And during that Trump era, said, "I'm so scared," and I'm like, scared of what? The guy could be an a-hole, but I'm not like scared of Trump. And now one of their kids is in Nike campaigns, and basically, although they don't see it this way, they've played the game. They've played the correct game. These are working class people, and they're very nice, but one of their kids got picked up for a campaign. It's all this multi-culty LGBTQ plus stuff. I don't believe the kid's gay, but it's in the campaigns. Getting a lot of free promo, probably free merch, probably getting paid as a model now. And I'm just like, rough, because now they're getting compensated or rewarded, I guess you say. They're getting rewarded for this ideology. And I'm sure, as a young person, you're like, great, this is dangerous. Right? It's just like, and then who am I to tell them that's wrong, right? Hey, in this world, it's open to whatever you want to do. But the fact that I thought in the 1960s, the thing was, don't trust the corporations. And who's the biggest damn corporation in the world? One of the biggest. It's Big Pharma. And then these people are like, Mammon is my god. Mammon is my god. Fauci is my god. And it's expanded to these other areas like Nike clothing. Yeah, these are like cults, basically. Apple cult, Nike cult, Supreme cult. The Supreme has a famous jacket that says, "By any means necessary." It's like, I will get the money by any means necessary. So that's another thing I'm seeing. Although we've seen it actually. Colin Kaepernick, he secured his future by basically following the corporate agenda, right? So we've seen it a lot with celebrities. And well, why do celebrities say those ridiculous things? Well, they're very worried about being relevant, so you better stick to the approved message, right? But now I'm seeing it on a smaller level where TikTok, Instagram, small level influencers are being rewarded in this way. So it doubly reinforces that thought form, that movement, right? And you don't have to spend a lot of money. If you're a large corporation, you sprinkle a little, give them some free shoes, put them in a campaign, something like that. And it really, if I was that age and I didn't know anything, I would be excited, But me being I'm not that old, but seeing some things, I'm like looking at this like, wow, this is social engineering, So, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was a great first hour. Thank you so much for that, Masaki. And yeah, we will see the patrons on the other side. So what do you think